I love fantasy, in fact I love dark fantasy. I'm investing myself into the Warhammer fantasy lore and I'm enjoying it quite a lot. But Doomsday struck again while I was enjoying my day. Another gift from the same friend. I can't sleep at night. Hello and welcome people to another review of a family friendly game, and it's an RPG this time with a lot of twists, with many of them being, if not all, quite disturbing. But before I explain the lore, I want to cover the mechanics of the game first because the story is brilliant, it's very well written, and I might say every scene is very descriptive, maybe too descriptive for my taste. You have 4 attributes, each works differently for different scenarios. Defiance is how brave you are. Come on, pick up the soap. Don't be shy. Depravity is how demented you are in the brain, like liking inflation. Seduction is your hotness, the demons haunt me. Intrigue is your ability as a spy, like convincing your mom why paying $100 for a Fortnite skin would save humanity from its inevitable doom. All of these skills have different kind of abilities. Defiance has carry weight, depravity has energy bonuses, seduction reduces the cost of travel, and intrigue is stealing. But all of the abilities don't work because the game is still in early access. You have your inventory, which is used for storage, you have energy and food. The energy is reduced by some of your actions and you have to sleep to replenish it, but it costs 100 hunger. Your last tab is quests, which explains everything and hints on where to go, and you will need it. While doing the quest you have choices and every choice matters and has a different outcome. Every decision requires a certain stat. I would suggest you to save before every decision you make because you have to load every time, mainly if you messed up. There are many areas, but for the hostile ones, evade the enemies and never get caught. Trust me, just don't. And use the tall grass to hide from the enemies. The fog is coming. I've covered all the mechanics, I think. If not, well, too bad. You play as a character called Claire, a blonde Aryan race girl. Wait a minute, she doesn't have blue eyes. Shame, I retract my statement. You live in a place called the Continent, and it has been overrun by monsters. The humans failed to stop the beasts, and now you have to escape to the Isles, the 4 islands of interest. Sadly, there were 3 monsters who ambushed your mother and yourself, but your mother risked her life for you, and you get out. As for your father, he might be dead. And I'll give credit to the developer for trying to stop me dementing myself. I suggest you to play through the prologue, not only because it's a tutorial, but it gives you 1 free attribute point to a certain skill from a certain choice. It's useful because I had to restart my playthrough because I was lacking manlyhood. The first choice you have is which road to pick. For beginners, as the game says, choose the first road, then after you complete your first playthrough, go for the second choice. You can either pay your way in or take a shortcut. But money is what I live for, so of course I will go around. The more you explore, the more side quests you can do and interact with the environment. What I main for is Defiance, and it is my highest attribute. And get the knife before entering the outpost from the north. You can hoard yourself out for money, and I would suggest you to do it. It's all about the money. There is an old man who lost everything and will pay you all his money just to touch your luscious, juicy big tomatoes. And this man has no shame. He outright starts sucking the tomato juice like a mad dog. My man. But when I went out in the woods again, I saw a man who almost drowned, and I gave him a fruit. He told me his wife was missing, and as the good citizen I am, I started searching for her. Then I went into a burning forest, found his wife's ring, and a noise of a beast came out of the woods. I have 3 choices to make. To either hide or to play dead. I chose to hide and the beast found me. Then the game asked me, do I want to skip the game over scene? I declined, and I cannot forget. I cannot show it on YouTube, but I will explain. Imagine there is a chef with a very large salami, and he has to insert the whole thing into a tight hole. The chef pushes it with full force into the hole, stretching it wide and making it stick 10 centimeters at the top of the pipe. The hole releases steam out of itself and makes loud noises of pain. But one just wasn't enough. He repeatedly pushes the salami in and out of the hole until the salami melts its juices into it, making the whole pipeline flood and spilling everywhere. And you're made into a breeding puppet for this enormous animal. This is not the only game over scene that is available in the game. There are more. When you get in the outpost, surprise! You get locked in a cage to be sold as a slave, but don't worry, you're not the only one. There is a room which trains you to be a good girl. I resisted because I knew the guy would whip me harder. The next day, you and another girl stab the man in the throat and escape, but sadly she has to go back after you enter a village. There are quests you can do, but they're not important to explain. Grind some money and escape. I chose a common sprite character to escape and he had to pay debt, so he sold me off to some thugs. And I appeared in a place called the Meat Pit, and by the name, the place is not pleasant. You're stuck there forever, but you could escape, but you have to take a 24-hour Mr. Beast type of a challenge. The challenge? Survive 24 hours of Sausage Fest. Good luck, prepare yourself. By some miracle you survive and are a free woman in the shittiest place in the whole game, Roughpike, where everyone is either an oligarch, a brute, a thief, or a prostitute. The city has 5 parts: west, east, north, the undercity, and the wash. Every part is a different kind of a trash pile. If you talk to the random guy on the street with a red icon on his head, you make a robbery and join the thief gang, who are the good guys. In the thief's quest line you get to go to a fat insurance guy's office and recover information against him. You find a little boy locked in his basement, who was made to eat himself into oblivion just to get touched and beaten by the fat man just for pleasure. And the last quest is you imprison one of the big men in a big gang who wants to build a slave empire whose leader is the owner of the meat pit you were thrown into. Then you free your friends. For your accomplishment, you privately meet the leader of the thieves and learn great lore about how a great leader almost conquered the 4 Isles but was defeated by an enormous army. When he refused to surrender, he was killed by his own people, and the peace treaty ruined the country worse than Germany after World War I. And the whole region was full of warlords until the nowadays leader united them, but almost everyone around him is corrupt. Sadly, the questline finishes here and I have to wait for the next update, like every other quest in the whole game. But the game is made by one developer. Then you can become a mercenary of Roughpike, giving Kraken its egg back, and first be prepared because the game overseen, well, let's say eggs come out from inside of you. After that you'll go goblin hunting with a silent protagonist. Wait, is that an anime reference? And then the quest stops there. Then 2 Vikings ask you to find their father and you have to go to a mining village, and there are also travel areas which have enemies in them. If you get caught by one of them, a game over scene will play, but because I was streaming the game to my friends, one of them told me, come on, save the game and get caught. Let's see what happens. I had to read and watch how a beast mates with the character and makes her into a breeding object so I could immerse myself. I will never forget my friend's words. When you save the Viking king, you meet his insane family, then you go to the city's casino Big Mummy casino owner, you unlock a new outfit and meet the chief's daughter who, well, I might say I'm down bad for her. These are the big quests in Roughpike and still are not finished. Of course you can either appear in Valus or Roughpike, but you can travel by boat between them. The Valus quests are way more interesting and here. The first one is helping the refugees, but before you talk to Lord Bertrand, your mother has been found in a monster camp. After a retreat, and she doesn't look so well. The man's suspicions? Harassment. You unlock a quest for your mother, but it has not been made yet. So, the game got updated recently and with many changes. More changes, and the mother quest has been updated as well. After you help the refugees move, talk to Bertrand and your mother escaped. Go to the left and read the scenes. Sadly, the quest is bugged. When I try to return, the same convo triggers over and over. Fix please. Talk to Lord Bertrand, remind yourself of the past, and he will ask you to get food for the refugees, because the city doesn't want to feed them. The quest is long, so I will not go into details, only know that Lady Vanessa is a troll. We have the Animal Protective Service. There is an animal lover who makes outfits for you to seduce animals. Rest in peace, my boy Dorian. The leader of the Rangers has a sister who made her watch a tiger do the funny with a captive and rubbing the floor with a soap. Now the spicier quest, you have to find the kidnapped family of a raw girl and investigate a nurse. You work for her, but then you go to her basement and learn how she slowly descends into madness after her husband died. Then she got a puppy, and the same royal father who she kidnapped killed her dog. So she kidnapped him and she revived her dog out of his body parts, but she left only his eyes and brain. She calls her newly made dog son, and that her husband would be proud. After they capture you, they let you free, and you can either expose them or join them, but I didn't have enough depravity and I couldn't get more because the ranger quest wasn't done and I couldn't upgrade it. We have a blonde lord who either buys you as a slave or you become one by force. That person got you because you look like his sister, and you have to give one of 3 books to his sister. Each one has a different outcome. For mine, the sister gets locked in the same dungeon as you were and you earn your freedom. The fertility church are female priests who help everyone in an interesting way. When you join them, you have to pick 2 choices, either to be dominant or submissive. I chose dominant because I have a massive dong. And how do you fix people's problems? Torture the causer of the problem. There is a camp of gypsies and the women are disappearing for no reason. Go into random cave and investigate. First have 15 intrigue for the hole so you don't lose defiance. Get a tablet and make a woman turn into bones. There is a monster which you can either banish or sacrifice the camp for your own benefit. There is another monster in Roughpike and you need 15 defiance to sabotage a pile of sand, because if you don't, you become a dungeon slave. And a big mummy spider with a huge sausage who turns you into a loving subject. That's every quest, which I think it's interesting. There are many more, but... The second route. You go to the city to save your mother, but you have limited time because the city is under siege. There's some quests you have to do, but you have to go to the other side of the city to do them. Meet a pig, but you need a high level of seduction to continue the quest. You get materials for him and then he will take you to the camp. Sneak to the castle and there is a massive pig with a massive cucumber, and let's say the huge pig expanded a woman. But you meet a knight and save him, and then you save your mother and escape the city. You settle in Valus and do the quest there. That's everything about the lore of the game. Of course there is more, but on the one side I'm lazy, on the other it becomes too boring to explain. Read the books, there is a lot of lore there. The developer put a lot of effort in writing and drawing the game, but I do want to bleach my eyes because of the scenes I've seen. There is a gallery for every scene in the game which you can either unlock through money or experience. If you wish to buy it and immerse yourself, the game is $16.79 on Steam, but you can subscribe to his Patreon and get it from there. And by the reviews, the Patreon and Steam versions are very different. I don't know how, but effort, and I probably have to put 10 hours more into the game. I hope you enjoyed the video, have a nice day, the fog is coming, adios mi amigos.
Yes!